Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
And we're just kicking it.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, Matt, nobody's here yet. Matty D's, I wonder, maybe he'll hear that hashtag in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be like, better times. Yeah, all right. Well, there we go. Before the show, I was talking about like coming up with a clever little intro, and I've been self-referential and self-deprecating. I think I nailed the Grawlix way.
That's the vibe. It's a whole vibe.
That is the way. Tonight, we got some news. We're going to talk about a couple news stories that I found interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Paul is here, but helping with violin.
We don't need violin, Paul.
I appreciate the offer.
Mm-hmm.
You're a brave man helping with violin.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a couple trailers that just dropped like today, maybe yesterday, I think today, that I also found interesting. Basically, this is that show. Things that I find interesting.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys do too. But first, what's going on, you two? How are you guys doing?
I'm pretty good.
It's been busy. We've done a lot of yard work. That's super interesting to the audience, I'm sure. And I'm going back to school tomorrow. So
already?
Yeah. Oh, my Fremont cohorts, they've been back all week.
Wow.
So I'm the late bloomer of the group.
You are Gru?
I am Gru. We are Gru.
See, we're a nerd podcast. We reference all the nerdy things.
Yeah, James Gunn nerd things.
Mm-hmm.
I hear he's good at stuff.
He is good at stuff. Like talking about Martin Scorsese. Hey, that's a story we're going to do.
Nice segue.
Yeah, this is a little out of order, but I can't ignore that segue. And I don't really have a proper news story because this is it happened on Twitter. News comes from Twitter story.
Yeah.
But do you remember a little while ago how Martin Scorsese made all kinds of fanboys and girls angry when he's like, Marvel movies aren't movies? Paul asks, Scorsese makes nerd sounds?
Well, he makes nerds make nerd sounds.
That's
right?
True.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something, they're not cinema. And
Right.
I think which of course everybody got, not everybody, comic book movie fans got bent out of shape about. And I feel like, yeah, he's throwing a little shade, but also he likened them to an amusement park ride. But basically they're not art. And I get his point, but I don't necessarily agree. Surprisingly, neither does James Gunn, because all somebody who's famous has to do is say a thing, and it's a news story. So here we go. This is actually coming from some podcast, the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. I'd never heard of it, but it's like
Podcasts aren't reputable at all.
But James Gunn was on this podcast. It's a video thing, and it's basically, I think the host of this podcast posted a clip, as they do. He's doing it right. He's doing it Listen, entertainment podcasters, take note. Especially if you're recording a video podcast and you have guests, like, do this. Get clips. Put them on social media. That's smart marketing. Business people are doing it all the time. Learn from them. Make money. Pay me. Hire me. I'll help. But I do appreciate it because it's one of those things where I'm like, man, business. Of course, business people have marketing down. Nerd podcasters, come on. Anyhow, James Gunn was on this. That's a total tangent. James Gunn was on this podcast, and I don't know how it came about. If he was asked about Martin Scorsese's opinions on comic book movies and Marvel movies, because James Gunn's made both. He's made DC comic book movies. He made Marvel movies, and the headlines would make you think James Gunn put him on blast. He didn't really insult Scorsese. He even says Scorsese's like one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, which of course he would. So, distracted by comments. But he had said, basically, yeah, it doesn't totally surprise James Gunn that Scorsese said stuff like that, because Scorsese knows that will get him publicity, and he had a movie coming out. So basically, like, he trash talks the super popular movies to get publicity for his movies, which obviously, I'm sure there's some jealousy there of like the Marvel movies and these superhero movies, these, ridiculous amusement park rides of movies get all the money and all the publicity. And I'm here, Martin Scorsese, trying to make serious film, serious cinema. Where's my love? And so, it's kind of a, no publicity is bad publicity type thing.
I'm pretty sure he's made quite a bit of money on the movies that he's made anyway, and he gets a lot of love from everyone. So he doesn't need to do that.
As I say, was he got to be Spielberg to get any bigger than he is?
Right.
I had heard a while ago. Spielberg is another one though. Like the elderly filmmakers. If I'm going to be insulting, no, older filmmakers who are into like they want to make passion projects about the 1940s fighter pilots. Stuff that like the general audience, given the general audience's age now and the things that they're into, are not super into. Like they want to make things, these aren't big money maker ideas. In the past, maybe, but I feel like a lot of them, I don't know, maybe they get it, maybe they don't get it, but they have trouble getting that stuff financed, or at least a big push behind it when they do. So that's kind of part of it, because I feel like of the money that's spent from the big studios, they're not throwing it to if Spielberg wants to make a Ready Player One type movie or something like that, that's extremely memeable and has potential mass market appeal. But if it's Scorsese wants to make another crime drama, or Spielberg wants to make a Tom Hanks led spy thing,
right?
Studios are gonna be like, well, I mean, there's a market for that, but it ain't like Avengers money market for that.
Right.
So we're not gonna give you Avengers money budget to do that, and we're not gonna market it like that.
But that makes sense. Why would you?
Right.
Anyway,
the whole point is, so James Gunn, he also voiced his displeasure with that tactic. He did not appreciate it, but he didn't really put down Scorsese. He's just like, he was promoting a movie. He was getting publicity because he had a movie out.
Right.
So, moving on. So
speaking of Spielberg, I watched the movies that made us this just today, and there's a whole new season of them out, and I watched the Jurassic Park one, and so and I thought, well, because Jeff Goldblum's in it, but like he was not actually in it. Like he was one of the people they did not talk to, and so I was like, well, that's
right,
dumb,
right.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting little hour-long documentary, or 45-minute long documentary on the movie and how hard it was to make and how groundbreaking, and like it basically changed the face of movies.
It did. for sure.
I wonder if they didn't ask him because they were like, well, if we bring Goldblum on, that's all anybody's going to want, and that's not fair to everybody else.
Well, then they should just do a special episode of Goldblum movies. Period. Just
I agree.
Right.
The Goldblum that made us. That's what it should be called.
Netflix, do it. Maybe does Goldblum still have that? What was it? Was it a Disney Plus series? I don't know. Does he still have that series?
I mean, it's still up, but I don't know that there's any news that there's going to be a season 2.
Okay.
So
It's
and if they asked him, he'd just be like, yes, yeah, ooh, yeah, that would be great. I'm getting ideas.
It's weird. It was such a weird show. We didn't watch all of it. We watched a few. I remember the tennis shoes or the shoe one. So weird. But
Coffee one too, where he's like he hasn't drank coffee in years, and then he has like his first cup of coffee is like cowboy coffee. It is like tar or something. It was like he's like going crazy. He's knocking his mic stand, everything. Oh wait, that's just me.
I think I mentioned it maybe last week or so. Yeah, I had watched the Back to the Future one. I hadn't watched the.
Oh yeah.
Like this season, they have Back to the Future, Pretty Woman, which I'm not interested in, even though it was a huge movie. Jurassic Park, and I can't remember the fourth one.
I think you should watch the
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. That's right.
That's why you didn't watch that one either.
Yeah.
Pretty Woman, just because it's a girl movie. I'm assuming that's maybe part of the reason you didn't want to watch it, like it was something your sisters were into. But I'm not a big fan of Pretty Woman either, because there's also something that my sisters were into, and I'm not anything that they and my mom like. I stay away from. But you know, I would be interested what the commentary is on that, because it's an odd movie to become really popular. It's, you know, prostitution and basically being like, yeah, it's okay to do that, and you can find a good man and, you know, have a good life. And it's strange for a movie to, you know, almost promote it. It seems like, and I'd just be curious what they think about it now.
That's cool. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not. That series is like weird. I hate the way it's cut together. It's kind of sickeningly not sweet, but like it's the same way as the Toys That Made Us. Like it's done in the exact same style, where they'll cut in snippets of the interview to like finish the narrator's sentences, and like it's just like got a super quick. Oddly enough, for a documentary, it's got like a super quick editing style, and it kind of annoys me.
Mm-hmm.
So that on like it's got to be something like Back to the Future, where I'm like, yeah, I want to watch that, and I'll maybe check out the Jurassic Park. Pretty Woman, I don't know. I'll look at Wikipedia maybe.
It's funny because they like practically interrupt themselves in their editing. You know,
Yeah.
like they'll be like talking, and then they'll be like splicing a cut of the movie or splicing a cut of one of the interviews, even
Constantly. And I get it. It's clever. It's a clever technique to keep the pace moving on a documentary about the behind the scenes of a movie, you know.
Yeah.
Which, listen, that's like a big percentage of the kind of crap I watch on YouTube is just talking about movies, and the best stuff is like when people do research and have behind the scenes stories. But like, I don't need it sped up like that. I don't need it edited together that way, but I get it. It's an attention retaining style is,
Right.
I think, the goal of it, to keep it moving along. But
So it's like the TikTok of the behind the scenes shows. Eh.
I feel like
Me?
TikTok is going to be the TikTok of behind the scenes shows.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I also, along those lines, I checked out. God, what was it? Vice has some documentary series on Netflix, and they're very short episodes. They're like 20 minutes long, about random things. And Vice is whatever. Vice is fine, but I watched the one on cryptocurrency and also K-pop, just because the whole thing was like, it's like a, here's how this stuff started, or like it assumes like nothing. Here's the basics, and I was kind of intrigued by that, and I just watched those 2 episodes of it. They've got several seasons. It's been going for a while. It's interesting though, thinking about the editing style we were just talking about, and Paul says the entire Vice network is based on random things. Okay.
Yeah.
And then watching that, even though the episodes are shorter, it's very standard paced for a documentary. But K-pop, because I knew nothing, kind of interesting. It's all just boy bands, but like, I don't know, just the idea behind it and where it came from, and
Did it come from Sweden or was it Switzerland? Did it come from there?
It did not come from there, but apparently a lot of their big hits are written elsewhere, primarily Sweden and the U.S.
Wow.
Are written by because it's boy bands. They're all extremely produced and presented a specific. It's a product, and it's interesting to hear them.
Smooth like butter, like Criminal Undercover.
Right. We don't need to talk about K-pop, but I knew nothing about it other than it's this boy band looking music that whatever, and it's all over. And so it was interesting to learn about that.
And ironically, BTS also stands for behind the scenes.
Right. It's full circle.
Full circle.
It's not even, it's loops. It's infinity.
Yeah, it's literally loops. Fruity loops at that.
Speaking of Netflix, since we're still on that, something else that Melanie and I have been watching, we mentioned it last week, but we finished the first season, Shadow and Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Despite being a little YA, a little young adult, you can tell at times. And I think when we mentioned it last week, we were kind of in there's like a series of 2 or 3 episodes towards the early mid section of the season that really goes like almost love triangle, young adult thing. But then it segues out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
It's great. It was such a fun show, and it was cool. And as soon as it was over, I was like, when's the next season? And or since that's not out yet, is there similar things I can watch? I just want to watch more.
But that's kind of how we found that one anyway, because we were trying to find something similar to, I forget which we were looking for, because it was similar to either like Game of Thrones or Witcher or something like that,
Yeah, I would say this is actually like this and Witcher. Witcher is more hard-edged. It's more adult, more R-rated. But this and Witcher, they're different worlds, but good double feature series if you're going to like watch one and then the other or something. Yeah, Shadow and Bone. You'll have to sit through a little bit of the there's a moment where it's a little Harry Potter mixed with I don't know, girl things. More girl things. Not girl things, but it's got the love triangle kind of thing a little bit during that whole section. It's not
slightly
bad.
CW.
Oh yeah. Yes. Slightly CW. Big with a big budget. And the characters it's got some fun characters, even though it's cheesy and over the top at times. Even in its cheesiness, it's fun. And
the main criticism I would have for it is that it doesn't do a very good job of keeping you in touch with the time frames in the story, because that was one thing where she's like, it's been months, and I'm like, it's been months? I thought it was a couple days. So
right.
that's the only complaint that I have about it. Other than that, I think it was good.
Yeah. So strong recommend. It's whatever. Like I said, we talked about it a little bit last week, but it's a fantasy world, but it feels like a mash of a couple different kinds of fantasy worlds, and it kind of works. It's interesting.
Yep.
It's got some good. It's got what's his name from Punisher, the bad guy who was supposed to have a messed up face, but he was still a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Jigsaw. I don't know
Jigsaw,
his name. He
right.
doesn't have a real name.
What? Yeah, he's Jigsaw. He was that guy, but he's in it, and he is kind of great. He is a fantastic actor, I think, in the right things.
Right. Well, we have never seen him in anything else besides that and this, have we? So let's just say he's a fantastic actor. And
He's amazing.
He's been in the right things. I rewatched Loki today with my nephew.
Oh,
yeah. And
does it hold up on a second rewatch? Or,
it does. It's just as good, if not better. And now I want to make him watch that one High Rise movie. Isn't that him?
High Rise?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was called. Yeah, with Loki, man. What's his name? Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, and then maybe it's just because I want to watch it again. And it's weird. It's weird.
It's a weird movie.
But I like it, and I like Loki. I like the guy. I like the actor. I want to watch it, and I'm gonna make him watch it with me. I think.
I don't know Gabe's taste, but that might be a tough. That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll make him do it anyway. I don't know. He's a Star Wars kid, you know.
It's weird in like a 70s way.
Mm-hmm.
It's High Rise from 2015. I feel like I remember talking about it on the show in 2016 or something.
Probably.
But it's a weird one. But it's weird in that 70s kind of weird movie.
Yeah.
Where it's just like weird things are randomly happening. And then there's like, well, a swinger party. And then everyone's at a grocery store. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah, Gabe's starting a Star Wars like D&D thing. I don't know what that is exactly, but
sounds like the nerdiest thing ever.
I know, but he's all excited about it because he's going to be the DM. So I was trying to give him
that's cool
encouragement and stuff.
Yeah, no, do it.
Yeah,
I'm not shaming him for it sounding the nerdiest thing. It's just I don't think I've ever heard D&D and Star Wars combined.
Wow. Yep.
Was it Axton? He played a little bit of like Star Wars role-playing games. That's the sum total of the story. Like he's really into it.
You're ascending to a new level.
Yeah, that's nerdom. like the Eagle Scout of nerdiness, I think.
Right. Jesse, now
yes.
we have one episode to go. But Melanie and I watched most of a series that I know you've mentioned in the past that I was like, Jesse will be excited that we watch this. We still have one episode left. Good Omens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's excellent.
Tenet, the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
The other guy.
Written by Neil Gaiman, based on the book by him and Tim.
Terry Pritchard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the last episode left. We blew through the first 5 last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
That's pretty. I mean, it's a great story to adapt, and then like they did a pretty good job with it. I was shocked to hear that they're going to do a second series because there's only one book. But come to find out that they actually had notes between the two of them. Like Terry Pritchard was involved in creating a sequel to Good Omens.
It never came about?
Right.
Interesting. So they're going to base the second season off that.
Yes.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is kind of like I don't know, like all those Lord of the Ring books that came out after,
right?
His son put together kind of thing.
Yeah. It's weird when they do that. But yeah.
It's I mean, whatever. It's it's those writers and Neil Gaiman, and it's such that
they've got the right stuff.
That weird, quirky, not quite dry, but somewhat dry, yet still absurd British humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's so thick in it. And it's good, but
it's even thicker in the book, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I guess there's not really much else to say about it.
I love Tenet.
Yeah, Tenet. I was gonna say the same. Tenet, man. when he gets worked up, I'm like, he's just the doctor right now.
Oh, he really, yeah. He's just like a cranky doctor, is all he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's the doctor, but with like the master's snake eyes.
Yes.
Eric Roberts' master snake eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Paul says, "Nice NKOTB." Nah, Jesse, I missed it. What's the new kid on the block?
I said because the right stuff, those writers.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh, okay, I get it. Wow. Which was your favorite?
Of the new kids.
Yeah.
Probably Joey.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's what most chicks seem to feel like.
Yeah, Joey or Jordan Knight. I mean, Jordan Knight was all right too.
Yeah, okay.
How about yours, Melanie?
Donnie. Yep.
Those Wahlbergs.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie Wahlberg. Oh my god.
I know, but it's that was then. This is now.
I hated it then.
Speaking of Wahlbergs ruining things, this is a perfect segue. The other thing that I watched this week was I started up the Transformers Netflix series. There's actually 3 parts. They're into the Beast Wars stuff now. So I was like, I've been talking about Transformers stuff lately. So I thought I'll give this a try because this can't be as bad as Michael Bay. And it's been pretty good. I've only gotten about 3 episodes in.
Mm-hmm. I didn't. By the way, that's not what I was implying at all.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. Paul commented, "Did you just call Jessie a chick?" No, I wasn't calling Jessie a chick. I'm just saying most of the chicks that I knew is like my family, my friends. They all like Joey. That's what I that's why I was just saying. Yes, all the chicks liked him. Also, is what I was getting at.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. It just means I have excellent taste in men.
It's not a bad thing.
Right. But yeah, I started the first chapter of this Transformer show that everybody's been talking about, and it's pretty great because it's like, like they're really taking the stuff from the old G. I feel like they're taking it from the old G1 mythos and the comics and all of that, all the stuff that was there originally that they were just kind of making up as they went along. Back when I was a kid, we were like, all of a sudden there's a movie and these Transformers have been here all along. And these guys fought side by side with Optimus Prime back in the day, but we've never seen them before kind of thing. What's kind of nice about this series is that they're actually there from the start and they're not revealed in a movie where he dies.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. Fun.
Something that Melanie and I watched last night. I actually watched a couple episodes and I was like, Melanie would be interested. So I made her watch a couple episodes. Just the first 2 episodes. But we checked out Harley Quinn, the animated show on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting. It was fun. It was adult. And I honestly, I expected it to be a little bit more like wacky than it was. And that's just from reading the Harley Quinn comic book. So it wasn't actually that bad to me. Although I was kind of disappointed I didn't see a hyena or a stuffed beaver. But there you go.
You're back.
Yes. Sorry.
Harley Quinn animated show. Have you watched any of it, Jesse?
I haven't. Axton has spoken fondly of it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was curious, and Melanie mentioned like it's not as wacky as like the comic book Harley Quinn series that they were doing. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect because, at least in the comics anyway, they'd kind of made Harley Quinn DC's Deadpool type character. So I was thinking it might be that, and obviously from that Batman story that we did a while ago that you can't find on the podcast feed. Sorry.
Right.
And in fact, you can't find it on the videos either. It's gone. But
it's never meant to be.
Never meant to be. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. The Batman story regarding the Harley Quinn show.
Being a hero. I mean,
don't be a hero.
Don't be a hero.
But so I knew it had adult themes. first off, right from the get-go, it's like, yeah, no, this is fully rated R. They say whatever they want, and it's a little juvenile in it. But God, what was the first line? Something about it was like some rich people on a boat, and the first line of the show is something about like, you know, we're the best whites gathered here, whatever. And I was like, wait, what is this?
Mhm.
It's way better than I expected.
Yeah.
It is juvenile, but it's not just like, oh, they can do extreme things. It's a little bit that, like, the violence is super hardcore and just all the time for no
Mhm.
reason. But I guess whatever, they're all villains. So, but it feels much more like a Venture Brothers tone,
Mhm.
which is always a good thing, or just just adult, I guess adult cartoon, but just like adult comedy thing,
Mhm.
where a lot of the humor is just from like characters like, I don't know, man, like their version of Bane. I love it, and he's just
Yeah.
whiny, and he does the voice they do is totally the movie voice. The
Oh no,
it's like a
Tom
bad
Hardy.
impression. Yeah, it's a bad impression of Tom Hardy. Poison Ivy's great. She feels like a modern Daria. She's just got that attitude of like,
Mhm.
done with it all, and is just kind of snarky, I guess.
Yep. Except they actually make her as powerful as someone with the power to control plants should
Right.
be, which is nice.
It's real, like the first two episodes are real tied into Harley and Joker's relationship dissolving, so I'm kind of excited to get beyond that. I hope we
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kite Man.
Mhm. He's the most. He
Man.
feels to me like the most Venture Brothers character in the whole thing.
Yeah, he's ridiculous, but
Yeah.
fun. He's Kite Man, so they have to
Yeah.
poke
Poke at him.
fun.
Yeah.
I can't help but think of who was it? What was the one Batman writer who also did the Vision miniseries?
Tom King.
Tom King. I think it was his take. I could be wrong. His take on Kite Man. Kite Man is a ridiculous character, but he embracing that, he did a story that made Kite Man's story, backstory, horribly tragic. And like just makes you feel for him, and so that's my go-to. So this whole time they're having fun with Kite Man, and he's a ridiculous character. He's like, Kite Man, hell yeah, and like he's just goofy, right? He's one
Right.
of those characters, but the whole time I'm like, dead child, because he's got tragic backstory in that. I don't know that they're going with that backstory at all, but Paul says this is a better emancipation of Harley Quinn story. Yeah, I mean the first two episodes definitely hit that a lot.
They knew better than to change the name 7 times. That helps.
Right.
Right. Paul says he enjoys it, and there's some fun episodes coming up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm looking forward to it. I think.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, this is just an American thing, but it's strange to me that everybody freaked out so much about the one aspect of it that we're not talking about. But they let him like puppet with a person's face, and that's fine.
Joker.
That's okay.
Well, because that's more violence, and people
I
don't care about
know,
violence.
right?
It's
Yeah, violence.
America.
Yeah.
We love it. We love some violence. We
I know.
don't love love.
No.
Sorry.
Their version of
No glove, no love.
you might have killed her. Their version of Jim Gordon, by the way, who is also feels like a very Venture Brothers character to me, is so weird. Like I've
He's
never
weird.
seen a Commissioner Gordon like this. He's not. It's not Commissioner Gordon. He's just like he's like a strung out dude that just spaz. Like it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's like he spends all of his life worrying while drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes or something.
Right. Yeah, that is, and that's probably where they, their version of him, where they got that idea for
yeah.
his character. Yeah. Do we want to talk about? I watched all but one of the Chibnall era Doctor Who. I'm almost through my rewatch, so we don't have to get back too much into it. It's pretty much just what I said last week, which is, especially rolling out of both in rapid succession. I admit I blew through this rewatch real fast. Rolling out of RTD's era and through Moffat's era, and then hitting Chibnall
like a brick wall.
It's so dull. Like it's like the
got
sucked out of it.
I don't think a rewatch will improve.
I was curious. I just watched The Timeless Child last night. I finished it, The Timeless Child. So I have one more episode to go.
Right.
But whatever. That's recent enough that you could go back in our podcast feed and find it within the last year and a half.
Did it still make you mad, or were you like, I have distance now and I'll just appreciate it for what it is?
It's still stupid. It still irritates me. In fact, going into it, I was like, okay, I get it. Because I worked out a way for them to make it okay. They're not necessarily going to do that, but if they do, I at least gave them an out in my mind. Chibnall can dig himself out of this one if he wants. He's
not going to. I did the same thing with River Song, and they didn't do it. And you know what? They're dumb, and it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck.
That's the second time that was referenced to me today.
Yeah.
Paul mentioned it earlier. Yeah, but so going into it, I was like, it might be okay. Once it hits it, once he's like, you are the Timeless Child, I was like, no, all over again. I was like, why? Why? She doesn't have to be Space Jesus. Yeah. That makes her character infinitely less interesting. Whatever. That said, it's not a terrible episode. It feels maybe like the very end, the last couple episodes, the show actually starts to feel like Doctor Who again. Yeah. Maybe it's because he's like, I can finally dive into my nerdy Doctor Who references I want to do with the Eternals or whatever they were, and whatever. It starts to feel like Doctor Who again before, like, he then just the Cybermasters. Stupid. Why do you not call them Cyberlords?
I'm still mad at that. It is the most mastery thing to do, is to name everything after himself. But I hate it.
Paul asks, can I be Space Jesus? Can Paul be Space Jesus? I mean, you have to die for our space sins.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, you sure you want that job? It's a rough gig.
Not our regular sins. I hear someone else has that covered, but our space sins.
You don't even want to touch our space sins.
No.
Stop it! Stop that, Morty! You'll go blind.
I was gonna say Rick and Morty popped in my head too. Like you say, space atrocities, and it's just Rick and Morty.
I just recently watched the 3rd episode of the 5th season, because like a couple of them are free on the Adult Swim website, and so I was like trying to make my way through the ones that are available, and the one that I just got on is it's one of those where he's mad at Morty, so he's having adventures with Summer, because whenever it's Rick and Summer, they just do awful things together. Like Morty somehow is the moral anchor of the duo.
Is that the one where they go from like apocalypse to party?
Yeah.
To planet that's about to...
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Right.
And that's pretty much all we can say about it.
Yeah.
Because even the premise as he pitches it to Summer, yes, yeah. And even when he pitches the idea to Summer, he's like, we're gonna go from planet to planet and we're just gonna do this one thing. And then they can't. Then they even mime what they're gonna do, and like even within the context of an adult cartoon, they blur it out what they're doing.
Right?
It's like it's It's too tasteless even for Rick and Morty.
It's so funny because that is like, I feel like that's not even as tasteless as the as the seasons got. We've watched four,
Oh, so you're ahead of me.
maybe 5 episodes. And there's one, I think it might be the next one up for you. People don't like it. People are very upset about it.
It's pretty.
There was a lot of backlash, and knowing that and then watching it, I was like, okay, it's gross.
Oh, it's Rick and Morty, man.
I
They
don't
do
get
some gross stuff.
I don't get the backlash. It's but whatever.
It's about a lot of people in Alabama got offended, probably.
Okay, let's not talk about it. Let's not say anything. I did like the one with the decoy family, though. That episode was fun.
It was.
It was so like Blade Runner-y too, where it's like, who's who, and does it matter? No, because we're so taking it to that next. Like I love when Rick and Morty just takes a concept and shows you how dumb it is by overdoing it to death.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's also like we're well past. You know what? We've already had this discussion. I was going to mention like we're well past like season 1. It's like they're not even the same in the same planet or in the same dimension as when we started the show with them. That's not the same family. We're well past that. Nobody's the same. Like who knows who we're following now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Morty in the one that I just watched, because it's also like a rip and a take off of Captain Planet. Like he gets the rings and he just goes straight John Wick on everybody, and it was like Morty.
I think I even commented to Melanie when we were watching that one. God, I'd forgotten. Yeah, that's the other plot line of that episode is the Captain Planet chick. I was like, traveling with Rick has made Morty kind of an awesome but evil.
Yeah. He just flips the switch, man, and oof. I mean, once you visit a purge planet, it's probably all downhill from there.
Yeah, that's what I was totally thinking too. Yeah, the purge planet.
Good times.
I feel like the big changeover for him, there's Purge Planet, and then the one from last season where he gets like the time reset device.
Oh yeah, that one.
And it turns out he wasn't resetting time. He was like just jumping into another
that's right.
dimension.
That's so dark.
So like, yeah, he'd do all these horrible things. It's like, no, you didn't reset that. You did all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I don't know. It's weird to think of like, especially Rick and Morty, because they know people try to do it and they intentionally jack with it. Of trying to think of canon or consistency or character arcs. It's like, well, I mean, none of these characters are technically the same characters we even started the show with. How can you?
You don't even know if Beth is really Beth,
right? Right, and but Morty is thinking about a character arc still. Morty is interesting because he's still like timid and scared, unless it's like, I don't know. He's so different in a way because he will just go John Wick on people,
right?
And just ruthlessly and remorselessly, without remorse, murder a bunch of people now. Whereas
he just
like
automatically knew how to use those rings too. He was like, he used them better than these people who had them for over a decade.
Right. That was a fun concept also. The idea of like the kids, the Captain Planet kids just like merchandised out, and like they're just basically made their version of Captain Planet their slave. They're like product slave. Like you're our intellectual property. Yeah.
So I wonder if like the Captain Planet rings then are like Green Lantern rings, and like when they pass away, the rings go find a new owner, some other child to take over the spot.
Well, I mean, technically Morty still has them all, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I will say the turn, it's weird. That episode is a little weird because how hardcore Morty goes, but then she makes a turn, like a turn in character at a certain point, and it's too far for Morty. That seemed a little weird, but whatever. It's Rick and Morty. I'm not going to analyze it that hard.
Right.
Oh, we watched an episode or so of Justin Roiland's other show, the Not Rick and Morty. What is it? It's on Hulu.
Oh, the aliens one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed okay, but it seemed like, for one, I know, like, he's not the only one that, Dan Harmon also, you could, watching that show and then watching Rick and Morty, it's like you can hear the Dan Harmon influence, the voice in Rick and Morty that's not in the other one. But, like, Justin Roiland just must have just books full of ideas, like just so many sci-fi ideas. How do you sustain two shows at the same time that are so close to each other that, like, you could take an idea from one and easily switch it over to the other one? Anyway, do we want to? I feel like we need to run through at least trailers or some news. Let's do some news real quick, because I put it like in the description, so we have to do it.
Yes.
That's how this works, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to clickbait nobody. South Park continues through 2027 with 14 new movies for streaming, plus 30 seasons. Okay, so
14 new
seasons.
movies.
Yes, South Park is staying on Comedy Central through to 2027. So, like, as a series, it's been renewed through 2027.
Okay.
Plus, it's also going to be releasing 14 movies exclusively on Paramount Plus.
That's insane. 14 movies?
14 movies.
Wow.
Okay, so according to IndieWire.com, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are keeping their blah, 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 blah. They're going, let's see, Viacom CBS announced. Okay, they struck a deal with Comedy Central's parent company to renew South Park through season 20. And they've agreed to develop 14 original South Park movies that will debut exclusively on Paramount Plus, which honestly, I don't think I'm familiar with Paramount Plus. Oh, wait, Viacom CBS. So is that what the CBS All Access became?
Yeah, so it's where all the Star Trek stuff is. Picard and Discovery and
So you just changed the name to Paramount. The CBS All Access isn't working. Disney's got theirs working. Add a plus.
Yeah.
So at least we didn't call it Peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, 14 movies.
It might be evil of me, but in my brain, I always think that Trey Parker pretty much does everything, and Matt Stone just like sits there and laughs at it. And he's like such a creative guy. I'm impressed. So what's his name that you were just talking about? Justin Roiland.
Oh yeah. So, like, is this going to be in lieu of the show, or is the show still going too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
The show, in addition to the show being renewed for through season 30, they will also be developing 14 South Park movies.
Because it seems like South Park has gone, it seemed like, and maybe it's just what's actually on my radar, that South Park was doing these specials in lieu of like actual episodes or whatever, like the pandemic special or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I can understand that if they're still doing the episodes the way they used to, because they're getting older and you can't make a new episode in a week forever. It's just not, and that's how they were doing it, which is insane to me. But from like thinking up the idea to putting it on the air, they had 7 days per episode. That's nuts. Crazy. Just so they could stay current.
Even for a normal show, that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, this article is saying the two creators did during the pandemic, took a break. And that's when they did the 2 pandemic specials. But they took a break from doing the show as usual. But the new season of the show will launch in 2022. So,
So they took a break, but on their break, they couldn't break enough to not do anything. So they had to do specials.
Well, yeah, they took a break from having to do the weekly thing, you were saying. Man, I don't know. In a way, like, okay, not to downplay the writing and the effort that it takes to do the writing, and that's kind of what that's what has kept South Park going, is they can crank these out super quick, and it's still like good quality. It's still South Park.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's objective, but like it's pretty good. And I feel like the pandemic specials, I mean, they each had like plot arcs and stuff, but I feel like those are a good example of they could just take anything and be like, okay, yep, here's a feature length thing story
Uh-huh.
revolved around that.
Oh, of course, with music and everything to accompany it also.
Right,
Right.
right. That's still though doing the series and developing 14 is a lot of movies. That's kind
Yeah.
of crazy. Like I wonder what the time frame is for
And
those
2 of them
14.
are supposed to be in one like the next year or something, right?
Yeah, it did say something about the first 2 movies. The deal is estimated to be worth $900 million for the pair. It's almost $1 billion.
Now this is moving to Paramount as well. So will
Um,
it still be on HBO? Because like they're better suited for HBO. And I believe that's where they're at now.
the movies is exclusively a Paramount thing. The movies, and
Mhm.
this mentions the HBO thing, and they feel like it's probably because HBO Max does have the series and the 1999 movie licensed, so they feel like the movie deal is Viacom CBS's way of being like, well, give us something.
Mhm.
I mean, usually something isn't 14 movies, but
Yeah.
Right.
you know, crazy. Anyway, I thought
Unless
that
these
was
specials
interesting.
are going to be the movie. You know.
Mhm.
Right.
I can't imagine it being bigger, longer, uncut, or whatever.
Right, where they
2.
make
Yeah.
right.
Well, in some of their episodes in the past, and maybe they were specials too, but I don't know. I think they were just episodes. They've had episodes that were basically these 3 episodes are actually a movie. You know.
Yeah, didn't they do that when they were doing some of the superhero stuff with the kids?
And the
Yeah.
Imagination Land one,
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
Woodland Critter Christmas too. I think because that was a couple parts, wasn't it?
I don't recall.
No,
It
well,
was epic
whatever.
though.
It was.
Okay. Here's one that'll go much quicker. As soon as it loads. Fly flying around. It's driving me crazy. If anybody's watching the video and they're like, "Why does he keep? He's losing his mind." No, there's a fly buzzing around. It's driving me nuts. So yes,
It's
I
got a
am losing my
new
mind.
tick. It's brand new.
Universal and Blumhouse to release first film in the Exorcist trilogy in 2023.
Huh?
I was like, Exorcist trilogy. So I'm reading this from comingsoon.net. And it says, following recent news, where does that link to? Also comingsoon.net. Okay. So Universal Pictures and Peacock have acquired the rights to Blumhouse's Productions follow-up trilogy to William Friedkin's iconic horror film, The Exorcist. Okay, so there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, like
So basically, Blumhouse is going to produce a trilogy of films following as a sequel trilogy to the Exorcist film.
did it work for the Exorcist sequels?
Right.
Wasn't that a trilogy also?
It's
Mhm.
so messy because there was a trilogy. The second one doesn't exist. It's terrible. The
Mhm.
third one is interesting. It's definitely
Mhm.
not quite The Exorcist, but it's not
Mhm.
bad.
It had one of the scariest at the time to me
Yes.
things ever, which was the old lady on the ceiling. Creepy
Oh, that's not even.
AF. That's what I was like, what?
Oh
Yeah.
man, that is good too. See, The Exorcist 3 is good. It's got 2 super creepy things because the go-to creepy for me, and it was actually referenced in the Black Christmas most recent remake. They kind of did a homage to it. Is the nun lady that comes out of nowhere, and it's just like, I don't know, it's or whatever it
Mhm.
is, this figure that comes out of nowhere. It's just so well done.
Mhm.
Anyway, but then there was also like 2 prequel movies made.
Oh, yeah.
There
I remember.
yeah, there were two like more recently, like
Hmm.
2010s, late 2000s when they started just let's do reboot or remake or do prequels to all the horror movies. When
Hmm.
all the Chainsaw Massacre remakes and stuff started happening. Um, Paul has a comment that kind of gets to it. More about the trilogy because I didn't know anything about it. It's not being developed as a remake, but rather a direct sequel to the original horror feature. So Paul says it's supposed to retcon like Halloween. Yes, they're doing the Halloween route of like Exorcist 2 doesn't exist, 3 doesn't. None of that stuff happens. This is a direct sequel to the first one. The good one, because that guarantees this sequel is going to be good.
Yeah. It works so well for Superman Returns.
Here's the crazy thing, though. Ellen Bernstein, who played the mother in The Exorcist, will be in the new movies. She's 88.
Wow.
But she's coming back to reprise her role.
Really? Wow.
Right. Wait.
So it's a sequel set in the far future then? I mean, not far. I mean, but it's not like this is a couple years later.
It's going to be set over 40 years. Yeah, it's going to be set like now, I'm assuming. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're literally going the Halloween path where time has passed and everything.
Yeah. Check this out. The sequel will be produced by Jason Blum, David Robinson, and David Robinson with Green McBride. Wait, what's his name? So the trilogy will be directed by David Gordon Green from a screenplay he's co-writing with Scott Teems, Danny McBride, and it's the Halloween team. It's the team that is doing the new Halloween movies. So that's why. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, that was gold with Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And two of those three haven't even come out yet. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Exorcist. You know what? I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
The Exorcist is one of those like. First off, you just don't do a sequel to The Exorcist, and there's like 4 or 5 sequels. That is a good example of why you don't. None of them really hold up to it.
Right.
But since that's the case, it's not like a beloved franchise. It's The Exorcist and then a bunch of tag-alongs. So I don't have, I'm not upset that they're going to try to do this. Like there was even a TV series not long ago, wasn't there? So, whatever.
But there's a billion movies that aren't The Exorcist that pretend to be The Exorcist, though. Like The Exorcist of whoever and whoever. Or
yeah, I was thinking
Exorcism or something like that. Yeah.
But this story, I mean, obviously the original news, I don't know when that came out, but that's what interested me. But this article in particular was basically highlighting the fact that Universal Pictures and Peacock have acquired the rights to release those movies, and the first of the 3 will be released October 13th of 2023. So there we go.
Cool.
Ellen Bernstein will be 91.
Wow.
They better 92. They better listen. You film what you have, what you need from her now.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I mean, not to be rude, but that's like it always when I hear of movies with super old actors, like I mean, if you're planning a franchise, you film all their scenes right away.
Yeah. Or make sure to do a 3D scan in different lighting sources.
Right. You Princess Leia, but good.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul said that the original news dropped about a month ago. I guess that makes sense. We haven't been doing we've had shows, so we haven't been doing a whole lot of news stories. We've had shows to watch. One more news story. HBO Max is offering free episodes of its hit series to non-subscribers. Some plebs are coming in here and watching the shows that we pay. No. Also, I didn't realize they do HBO Max has a $10 tier that has ads.
Oh,
I didn't
even know
realize
that was an option. No.
Yeah, me either. But they're doing a thing where basically there's if you're a non-subscriber, You can watch like 13 episodes of various of their hit shows, and those 13 episodes will like swap out every so often, periodically be switched out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like Peacock, where we could watch a couple episodes of that. What was that show? That alien show?
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien.
Oh, right.
And then it's like, oh, you got to pay if you want to watch more. I'm like that, just to pull more
Sure.
people in. That's it.
Oh, and their watch party doesn't work very well on HBO Max. Also, by the way.
Yeah, Teleparty, which it used to be the Netflix watch or whatever,
Right.
the watch party thing. It does work with HBO Max, but we discovered last night it's a pain. It doesn't. It's hard to get working right. It's our ongoing frustrations with none of these watch party things really work very well, and end up with me starting the first episode angry, trying to get this stuff working right.
Right.
You guys had all 2020 to iron that technology out. Come on.
Right.
Okay. Do we want to? We're hitting an hour now.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to run through these trailers really quick?
Did we name the episode after these trailers?
No, not necessarily. I did mention there'd be trailer talk.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say, but we always say that. So
Why the Last Man? There's
I'm
a trailer
excited. I
for
love
Why
it.
the Last. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm excited. I love it. It's a great comic, and I don't know how this story looks a little more drama than that, but I'm hoping it'll be good. That's all I gotta say.
It didn't look bad. It definitely looked. It's on FX, I believe. Which listen, they had they did Legion, man. They kind of won me over with Legion. I'm willing to give their stuff a shot. The budget, it looked good. Definitely still looked a little TV budget for doing like a post-apocalyptic story, but it didn't look bad.
I cannot wait for the man babies to cry about this thing that has been out forever.
That's the thing. Like, how are they? It's all the men in the world.
Virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. Cancel men.
Not all of the men. There's still one. Come on.
I know.
I know.
I said
Like,
that.
I can't wait until. I mean, there's going to be this man baby whatever thing happen.
Yeah. Well, this has been like they've been trying to get. Man, I feel like we've touched on this over the years. People have been trying to get a live action thing of this made for like 15 years or something since the comics came out, and it just never got off the ground till now. So I'm intrigued. I hope it's good.
It's got good source material. It's a great premise. I can't wait. I mean, like somebody should have done this years ago, but I'm glad it's happening at all. So
yeah.
Oh, that Last Man. Also, I was like, "Who's the casting?" And I don't know the guy. I don't have an opinion of the guy. He just looked like a dude. So okay, fine. I wonder if that guy is all that.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer also.
he's all that's left.
You remember She's All That? You don't? Huh. Unfortunately, I do. I think I saw it in the theater. That's definitely a date movie.
Is Freddie Prinze Jr. going to be in this?
What's her name is though? I seen what's her name. I didn't see Freddie Prinze Jr. I seen the chick. Well, speaking of man babies, gender swap. She's All That. Called He's All That. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a trailer, and I was like, oh god, maybe we'll talk about it. And I started watching the trailer. I was like, no. It's from the producers of Mean Girls, and it's just got that. It's very modern. It's for the kids, of course. It's essentially a remake of She's All That, so that's who that's for.
Then you saw Robbie.
Then I saw Robbie, and I was like, oh wait, no, you guys have to watch this.
Yeah.
From Karate Kid. It's got the kid that Melanie loves. He's the he in him. He's the he, and he's all that.
Yeah.
He really
And
is all that.
Can't keep his shirt on in anything he's in.
No. I think he also does karate and skateboards in this as well.
Yeah, probably.
Was this made in the 80s?
I don't know. But he's basically the same character. A problematic youth who can skateboard and do some martial arts.
Yeah, I think he rides a horse too.
Paul says, "Holy crap! I swear we talked about this one last year. I mean, maybe." Okay, it looked like total junk, but I seen it had Robbie, and I was like, "Oh, we got to talk about it."
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I remember doing the news story.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it.
No.
I'm not gonna watch it. It's
I
not made-
I never even wanted to watch She's All That, much less He's All That. Come on.
Right. She's All That wasn't good. Is that the angle they're going to take instead of like nerdy girl who's secretly a hot chick if you take her glasses off, you got to like whatever you got to ask out the nerdy girl. So is that going to be the angle though, because he doesn't look like he's not a nerdy dude.
Right.
Is he going to be the troubled
Yeah,
kid?
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, he's like scruffy and he's just antisocial was the whole thing.
So it's going to be his character and his arc.
Right.
From
Otherwise,
Karate
it's
Kid.
exactly the same. Like
Cobra Kai.
she gets dumped or something by this guy that she helped get really popular or something. And so she's like, I did it with him and I can do it again.
Yeah.
I'm a social media influencer.
The social media aspect actually almost kind of makes that story more relevant. No,
But also dumber, like it's like,
yeah.
So like the big reveal is that, wait, this was a bet all along. You're on the internet.
Mhm. Well, he's not, because he's antisocial.
Oh, right.
Oh,
So he
is
doesn't
that-
have a phone. Antisocial people like the Grawlix podcast hosts don't use
Right.
the internet ever.
and
Yeah.
he's gonna have, I'm sure, edgy rants about how people need to get off of technology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way to make this work is to make him a total shut-in that doesn't believe in the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The other trailer, I have really nothing much to say about other than like the lead was interesting to me is Kate. It's a Netflix movie called Kate, and it's a very slick action movie with a female lead action person, which is not new.
Oh, boy.
But the trailer looked okay, and it had what's her name, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And every time I see her, I'm like, who is that? She looks so familiar. And then I got to look her up, and it's like, oh, she doesn't look like any of those chicks, but it's her. She was, what's her name, the villain in, or that's a spoiler,
Oh, you spoiled it. She's a villain in something.
in a Disney movie that we watched a while back.
Mhm.
And she was in Death Proof as the cheerleader chick. She was in Birds of Prey as the one, like, edgy
The huntress, right? Or
the
whatever.
huntress, yeah. Who, when we were talking about that, I was like, who's that chick?
Yeah.
Every time. But does it star Kate Winslet? No. Mary. You know what's so funny? Kate Winslet is the name that was in my head when I was watching the trailer. I was like, that's not right. Who is that? Mary Elizabeth Winstead. So because of the whatever.
So instead of Winslet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch this, guys? This trailer?
I watched the trailer, yeah.
Yes, I did.
What'd you think?
It looks like it might be better than that other one we watched with Amy Pond.
That is the movie I was thinking of, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
It looks
So-
less. It's gonna be cheesy. It looks like it's going more for a it was mentioned Atomic Blonde, and that actually is kind of a little bit the feel I got from the trailer.
Right. It's like the one thing, like maybe SJW, like hyper analyzing everything has just ruined movies for me. But it's like it feels like a white savior story for women.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, because it's all set in Asia, but like the core character and Woody Harrelson, for whatever reason,
Oh, that's right. Woody Harrelson is in it. Yep.
you know, are maybe the heroes. I don't even know if they're heroes, but they're clearly taking care of business in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe not a white savior kind of situation, but like sort of.
Hmm.
Her filmography is interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, she's very versatile.
Yeah, it is kind of all over the place. She works consistently, though.
Hmm.
A lot of movies, though. Like, she was doing
Oh.
TV for a long time, and a lot of movies as of recently, including, like, Gemini Man, which I didn't watch, but that was a big movie with Will Smith.
Hmm.
I don't think it did very well, but...
She was in one of the Cloverfield movies. The one...
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Man. She really is and everything.
She is, and I never remember her as the same person.
Well, she does have kind of a face that looks like several other different people, so you know it happens.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's the show. Melanie,
What?
anything we should be amazed about this week?
Sure. Scientists have basically made a textile that
what?
it says
You glitched out a little bit.
I'm sorry, made a textile. It's like
Okay.
hierarchical morphology metafabric that can be used to cool people, or it interacts with thermal radiation and has cooling properties. So basically, it'll keep you cool in the hot, whether you're in the sun, and it's so because it will reflect sunlight away, but it also has other things so that if you're just somewhere hot, it'll help cool you too. And they have had materials that would do that before, but they weren't very durable. They would fall apart pretty easy. But now they found a way to make them actually work, and they're super excited about it because it was one of the concerns with global warming is that people weren't going to be able to stay in certain areas because it's just going to be too hot to live there anymore. But they're thinking if they can get this, working well and get it mass produced, maybe they can still have a chance at least to live in those areas for a while longer, unless it depends on how bad it gets. But so yeah, that's exciting, and I thought it was really interesting too.
So you're saying we won't have to weave immediately?
Right.
Textile joke.
I was gonna say, like, a metafabric sounds like a thing you need for, like, if you're gonna time travel. It's like you better put on this metafabric.
Or like what the superhero costumes are made out of, like unstable molecules or something. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's like heat proof, which could also apply to like friction proof. It's like superhero suits have been made out of that.
Flash needs it.
So it doesn't burst into flameways, right? Yeah.
It's a pretty flashy outfit you got there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sorry.
Jesse, you got anything interesting coming up you want to talk about?
Just going back to work. I will be doing nothing.
Right. You also won't be here next week, correct?
Won't. That's true.
Back
to school night.
I might change my mind, but we may or we may not have there might not be an episode next week. I do want to put out a another Friday the 13th special GCU episode. But I don't know. Maybe if I could figure. The only Friday the 13th movie left that we didn't cover on Grawlix Cinematic Universe is the 2009 remake. I don't know, like, if I was hoping, I didn't want to just do another review. I wanted to, like, look into it, do some research, make an interesting episode. But it's the 2009 Friday the 13th remake. Like, there's not much there.
You're like, do I want to do the work? Does that sound like a good use of my time?
Like, I mean, I've done some research. There's just not a lot there. The studio, like, all the horror movies were being remade. It was 2009. Studio wanted to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Story.
Yeah, not even like anything controversial or exciting.
No, there's basically, the thing is, like, GCU. I'd like to do more, but I kind of want to do like it's another special, and I kind of want to approach it differently. So whatever. I know Paul and Billy are going to have a. I'm assuming Moose's Monster Mash Friday the 13th special coming up this week, this next
fun.
week. So there's that for sure. I'd like to have a GCU special to go along with it. Cross promote,
I'll post some memes probably.
right?
I'll forget, and then I'll just have a terrible day because it's Friday the 13th.
Yep.
There has been a bunch of stuff about lawsuits I can dive into a little bit. We mentioned those in the previous specials that there's been some developments, so maybe I'll do that too. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot going on. Oh, you know what? I don't have anything to show. Melanie and I have been designing some T-shirts, and we got a little brand. So the shirts, where you can find the Grawlix shirts, the store is going to change here pretty soon, and we've been building up a little catalog of designs before we launch it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh boy,
I'm excited about that.
Yep.
Strangers with T-shirts. That's the name. So, but it's not ready yet. When it is, we'll have designs to show you. So, such designs to show you.
Yeah, we should make that a shirt.
Come, Daddy. We should. Come to Daddy. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Paul says, "Am I on a shirt?" Oh, that's not what he said, is it? That's not what he said.
He misspelled it, but
I read it right. Yeah. My brain censored that for me. Thank you, brain.
Yeah.
You can be.
I don't know, man. Are you?
Yeah. It's a weird question for us.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Vague business words. So, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. Podcast feed listeners, thanks again. Sorry the audio is crap on these episodes lately. We got to move away from StreamYard, man. Like, it's so convenient, but at the same time, I'm so unhappy with the audio quality lately. Podcast listeners, you guys know what I'm talking about. I do my best after the fact. But thanks for listening. If you want to hear more, go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. If you like supporting us, hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/grawlixpodcast. There's like 60 plus free episodes over there, or like bonus episodes. I mean, not free. You got to pay for them. You got to pay $1 per month.
Yeah.
Or you could pick up a Humble Bundle, which is full of sound stuff now. So if you want to make your own podcast or music or whatever, you can get Acid Pro and SoundForge. Something
that's a good point. SoundForge, clean up some audio. Acid, it's a DAW. You can edit your podcast in there. Go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble. It'll redirect you there. Affiliates, we are affiliates. We'll get a little kickback for you using that link. All right, everybody. Thanks. I need to go eat. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.